February 14th, 2019. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 174 of You Can Bet On That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet On That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
Well, I think it's safe to say that the streak, the 2019 streak, is over.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Yeah, the last few trips have been losers. Not terrible.
No, there were some wins. I guess the difference is when the year started, we just win. All
right,
you know that.
Right.
And now it's kind of leveled off. It's kind of hit and miss.
50-50. Win one night, lose the next. Yeah.
So,
Lost today. So yeah.
Today you were at the casino today.
Today I was at the casino.
Is that right?
Yeah. Well, circumstances worked out that I had a few hours in the afternoon, so I went up there before this.
Oh, okay.
Just to put myself in the proper mood.
Oh, good.
For the show.
Because the last few episodes have been pretty weak.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably because you're coming straight from work instead
And I'm
straight from
now
the
I'm in a
casino.
much better mood.
Yeah.
Not really. I lost.
Sorry about that. Yeah, like I said, the streak.
Yeah.
The streak is
Keggers
over.
was there. He witnessed the whole,
did he?
defeat. Yeah. So.
Not good. Yeah. Well, it seems like the Super Bowl was ages ago, but this is actually the first episode that we've done since the Super Bowl. And I think we're kind of in agreement with virtually everyone. It was a boring game. And
very boring.
It just wasn't all that interesting.
Yeah, and the score was so low in the second half, you knew New England was going to win.
Yeah, right.
It's like I said, the only way the Rams had a chance is to have a pretty big lead in the fourth quarter. And that wasn't going to happen, obviously.
Yeah,
it was pretty obvious.
Oh, are they number two offense
in the NFL. They scored 3 points in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, stupid NFL. They rig everything.
Yeah, everything's rigged. Yeah. Oh, they knew that going into it.
Yeah, they rigged that.
Yeah. Well, kind of along those lines of being rigged. I don't know if this fits. But here's some interesting stats of the Vegas sports books versus the New Jersey sports books.
Yes.
Now, as it turned out, the Nevada books actually won for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And New Jersey lost. The New Jersey casinos lost.
Lost money because everyone back there bet on New England.
Yeah. I mean, that is a lot of it, right? Everybody over there are, more people, not everybody, but more people are betting on New England.
Right.
More people probably in Las Vegas.
All the LA people were going to Vegas betting on the Rams.
To Rams.
Yeah.
And it could also have to do with volume. Now, Nevada, their handle was $145.9 million, and they won around $10.8 million. By comparison, New Jersey, their handle was only $34.9 million, and they lost $4.6 million. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Right.
Vegas versus New Jersey, at least at this point. So,
well, Vegas winning and New Jersey losing, isn't that been the trend for ever?
It's been that way at least maybe when Atlantic City first legalized gambling.
Right.
They might have had a little bit, there was a jump there, but
they've always, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, don't disparage it. We're going there.
I know.
Pretty soon. So.
That's going to increase their win.
That's right.
We're coming.
That's right. We're not too worried about the sports losses. We heard Dr. Mike's on his way. All right. Well, anyway, looking forward to NFL season next year.
Yeah. No, you don't have to wait.
We have
football now.
Is that true, Mike? Tell me about that.
We have professional football in San Diego.
Really?
Mark. Yes. You're the one who always says we don't have a football team. Well, we do now.
Oh,
they're 0-1, and they didn't score a touchdown in their first game. They got 2 field goals, and they had 4 interceptions when they were ready to score.
That's what I heard. I didn't actually watch the game. The San Diego Fleet.
The San Diego Fleet
is our
so
new
on
team.
The last show, I said that they were a little weak, in their interior linebacking. Turns out they don't have a quarterback.
Oh, well, that's the problem.
Yeah, they literally played without a quarterback.
Yes.
So every time the center hiked the ball, it was like, fumble again?
Now, just to be clear.
Someone has to be there.
Just to be clear to listeners, we didn't talk about this on the last show. I tweeted that out, what you said about
is that what
interior
you tweeted?
linebacker.
Oh, okay. Well,
just to be funny.
I knew
right? So,
that's right. We were in the car and you tweeted
saying,
that.
How much of our bankroll should we bet on the Fleet?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot we were in the car. You tweeted that out. Yeah. Well, anyway, they were a road game, so this week they're at home.
Right. Yeah. So
it might be
home turf where they're used to playing.
Yeah. On Sunday night at 5:30. It's like a Sunday night game.
All right. Maybe I'll watch this week. We'll see.
The professional football team from San Diego is on Sunday night.
Nice. I got a Sunday night
game. It's not on TV, but they're on.
We didn't bet on the game, but I noticed that both directions it was minus 115. 15, at least on Bovada.
Well, because nobody would know.
That's right. Nobody's willing to risk that much on it.
Right.
So, yeah.
And, they don't know. Did some of the players, could they get their shift covered at McDonald's? Maybe they couldn't get their shift covered.
That's right.
They have to work.
I got to work. So who's that playing? Yeah.
That's my cousin, Alfred. He's here.
Well, we've got a topic that we want to talk about here, and it is the stigma of gambling. And I put a few notes here down, Mike, but I think this is going to be more like a free-for-all for us, because you and I, we were talking in the car about how there is this stigma attached with gambling, whether it's deserved or not. It is there.
Sure.
And you were saying that it's probably better than it used to be.
Oh, I think it's way better than it used to be. But you go back 30, 40 years ago, you said you were a gambler. It was like, oh, he's a degenerate. That guy's like that. You were right up there with drug dealers.
Yeah. It's
seriously.
It's funny that you say that because just coincidentally on yesterday's The Better Life, Tim and Eric were talking about broaching the subject of gambling in conversations, or kind of letting people know that they gamblers. And, sometimes they're a little hesitant. And Tim was saying sometimes he's a little hesitant about, when and how to bring it up. And,
right. Especially if you're in a professional setting or you're in any work setting, really, do you want your boss to know you gamble?
Right. Well, we never mention listeners' last names on the show unless they say it's okay. And in some cases, we've had listeners actually say, please do not use my last name.
Right.
And that's why, they're not sure how people might react, whether it's in a professional environment where they work or friends or whatever.
Right.
And even when we started the show, Mike, I was saying, how do you want me to refer to you? And you decided Dr. Mike because that's what my kids have always called you.
Right.
And you were thinking, well, maybe you don't necessarily want your patients to know that you're doing a gambling
Well,
podcast.
only because you don't know how some of them react. Some of them like, oh, that's great, and they want to listen. And some of them, might think, oh, can I trust him?
Right. And but since then, you've been, you talk all the time with
anytime a patient brings
if they bring it up
something up about gambling, then we start talking because I figure they've got something. We've got something in common or some interest in common anyway.
I remember a little while ago, we had a meeting at work, and in this meeting, the person running it was saying, all right, we're going to go around the room and tell everybody something about yourself that maybe not everybody knows. One of those work silly kind of,
one of those
get to know people kind of thing. So I said, I've got a gambling podcast, right? And in the course of talking about it, somebody joked, oh, you better check his expense account.
Yeah.
Kind of joking. And it didn't offend me. And, I was kind of laughing. But, that
does creep into people's minds.
It does, right? And it's probably something he shouldn't have said.
No, it's him. I think he's the problem.
Yeah.
A guy like that to jump to the conclusion. And that's one of the biggest problems in the world, not just with gambling. People jump to conclusions.
And to jump to his defense, you hear things like that all the time in the media.
And it sounds funny to say, too. It's
sure,
like, I'm sure he was trying to be funny.
Oh, of course, right? There was nothing. Those pair of nuns.
Right.
They recently had embezzled, to go on these gambling trips.
Well, nuns are people, too, right? And they like to gamble.
They have needs.
Yeah, they have needs. It's partly your fault, too, because you should have said something else. Talk about your third nipple.
I don't have a third nipple.
Talk about, well, you can make one up. No one will know.
That's right. I'm so ashamed of the gambling podcast.
Right. That you make up a third nipple.
Not that there's anything wrong with third nipples. I'm sure that plenty of our listeners have them. It's not that uncommon.
Right.
Great. Now it's the stigma of third nipples.
People around the country wearing thicker shirts.
They're on some podcast. So a guy makes a joke on the show and it didn't offend me, but he really shouldn't have said it.
But it is true. People, I don't know what it is, because gambling, for us, it's just entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's our hobby.
It's our hobby. It's no different than if I said, well, you know what? I got to admit, I golf like 6 times a week.
I always think of golf, too, just because, I don't know, maybe
my father-in-law golfed every day.
Yeah.
When he retired, he golfed every day. Yeah. And, people might look at it and say, what a waste of money. I mean, he spent a lot of money golfing.
Sure.
But it's what he loved.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could have been at the casino every day. Yeah. He could have been, I don't know, spending money in other ways. So you just have to find a way to spend your money. I think gambling, there should only be a stigma when somebody's like ruining their lives or ruining their family's lives.
That's the thing. You can't, it's not exactly the same. You can't compare golf and gambling because, well, sure, somebody could be obsessed with golf and, maybe it ruins his marriage. But with somebody who's got a gambling problem, they can destroy themselves and their family in one night. Right.
But you could do the same thing by drinking and driving. You could do the same thing with drugs. Sure. I mean, everything in the world, eating.
Yeah.
What is the most addictive thing in America? I'm going to ask that right now. What is the most addictive thing in America?
All right. Well, I think you've kind of primed me here, but I'm going to say food, overeating.
Sugar.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah, sugar.
Sugar is the most addictive thing on the planet.
And it's funny because I don't generally get political, but just to talk about this, you know, the sugar companies poured a lot of money into research. I think it was like in the 50s and 60s to convince people that it was fats in food that made you fat. Right. And it's not. It's the sugar.
It's the sugar. And sugar is it's more addictive than any drug. It's more addictive than alcohol. It's more addictive than gambling. Sugar is the most addictive thing. And yet it's legal, and not only legal, tomorrow's Valentine's Day. So
I got to go out to See's Candy and get some to remind me.
But it's one of those things that is accepted by society.
Well, sure.
Right. Valentine's Day. I mean, how many people are going to give their spouses or girlfriends or boyfriends, whatever, candy tomorrow?
And I'm a victim of that, actually, to a certain extent. I love sweets. I definitely have a sweet tooth. So,
and let me just educate you a little bit about sugar.
Okay.
Sugar is sugar. Don't kid yourself that natural sugar is better than any other sugar. Right. Your body processes it the same. Sugar is sugar. You can eat processed sugar, natural sugar. So people are like, oh, have a smoothie, have a fruit drink. It's better for you. It's not. A smoothie actually contains more sugar in it than like 3 cans of Coke.
There you go. Well, I guess it depends on the smoothie, but I take your point.
But it's a lot of people drink a smoothie thinking, oh, it's natural. I got, I got some strawberries in here and a blah, 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 and it's good for me. No, it's actually worse. Yeah. So, where's the stigma with sugar?
Well,
you ate a candy bar today, Mark. I can tell. Chocolate all over your face.
That's right. At work, right? I think I'm going to go home. Well, I don't know if we've reached any kind of big conclusion here or anything, but I guess
probably just said something everyone knows.
Yeah, and I don't think that you and I are necessarily affected by people judging us.
No.
Based
actually,
on it.
If you and I, it's probably worked in our favor.
Just because of the show and everything?
Yeah, because of the show and everything. People, we made more friends. We know more people.
Well, there you go. Okay, yeah.
We're happier.
But to compare it to, again, obviously people have gambling problems. People have drinking problems. People have, all sorts of different problems. So it definitely can be. But, say some people have a podcast about wine.
Right.
Probably it would not turn as many people's heads as a gambling podcast.
Right, that's true.
And even when I go through the ethics training at work, we have this yearly ethics training. There's always one slide in there where there's a picture of a bunch of poker chips and, as being one of the vices or, something to watch out for. And so, I always think of that.
Well, when the FBI called me about you, for your background check, just so people know, not that you did anything wrong, but I'm a reference for your background check. Right. They ask, does he excessively gamble? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I cannot get him to bet more than $30 on an 8. He never bets the hard ways. He doesn't even bet the fire bet. I do it.
We appreciate your input, doctor. Thank you very much. We'll take that into consideration.
But seriously,
that's how I got my job.
But seriously, they asked me that, and I was honest. I said,
sure, of course.
Have you seen him in a casino? Yeah, like all the time. But does he gamble heavily? No.
Yeah.
He's very conservative. It doesn't affect his life.
Again, there's probably more to say, but I knew this would be kind of a free-form conversation. If anybody else has something to say about it, let us know.
I bet you people would call us with stories.
Yeah, because there's probably more to say on this. And we've just
where they've been at work and mentioned something about a casino, and somebody looked at them like, oh, we better check them. Now, I have known 2 receptionists that embezzled from their bosses. Not me, but people I know who were embezzled by their employees who were using the money to gamble.
Okay.
So,
it does happen,
both
right?
in Verona. So if that means anything in San Diego, they both were gambling in Verona. Okay. They both ran into big debts, didn't want to tell their husbands. Yeah. So they were embezzling from their work to cover their gambling losses, which is what I do.
It's stories like that, true stories.
Yeah.
that will continue to perpetuate the stigma. So it's never going to completely go away.
No, but I think it is better because a lot of people enjoy going to Vegas now, and they enjoy, going out to the casino.
Sure, and sports
because it doesn't mean you're betting a lot.
It does not, no.
Especially now the casinos have concerts and they have pools and they have, all kinds. It's not 1960 where the casino was gambling and that's it.
Yeah.
They have a lot of activity. So a lot of people go to the casinos for other activities.
Yeah.
I go for the cheese puffs.
And you get them all over your fingers too. And then they get on the dice and then they have to shut the game down.
Boy, I love those cheese puffs.
All kidding aside, he buys so many cheese puffs at the gift shop using his points.
Every week I take all they have.
He has to make several trips from the rack to the cashier.
It's true. My family all likes cheese puffs, and I love them.
Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to our voicemail hotline segment. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. First up is Ryan.
Hey guys, it's Ryan from Las Vegas. So I know the Super Bowl's coming up, so it's been crazy around here. A bunch of people putting in bets for the Super Bowl. I just wanted to share a little something with you. The other day, there's a ton of prop bets. You can bet on anything for the Super Bowl. Honestly, you can bet on who's going to score the first touchdown, what's the exact points they're going to be, is this person going to rush over this many yards, the halftime show going to run longer than 45 minutes, is blah, blah, blah. Well, I was in line, I was making a small bet, and the guy next to me, I hear him say, let me get $1,500 on the Rams to be the first team to call a timeout. And I'm just thinking, man, you don't have something better to bet $1,500 on than if the Rams are going to call the first timeout? I mean, even if you think you know sports betting, how could you possibly know who's going to call the first timeout? That is a total coin flip and just a complete guess. But, I mean, I guess he has just as good a chance as us betting on anything else, but I would just feel a lot better on something that I feel like the numbers point to or something like that. But I don't know. I just thought that was crazy. Thought I'd share with you guys. Well, good luck to you guys.
After we got Ryan's call, I went and I checked the odds on betting who calls the first time out.
Right.
And it turns out it was not even. It turns out it was Rams minus 140 and Patriots plus 110.
Now, we had a theory about that. We talked about it. And we theorized that Belichick is a more seasoned coach, and he would probably save his timeouts for late in the first half or late in the second half.
Right, and you could say the same thing about Brady too, that he would be
Brady
less likely
to call a timeout because he's got his act together and he's calm, cool, collected. Right. And the Rams, with a younger quarterback, would be more likely to need a timeout, and the coach would be more likely to call one since he's younger.
So maybe this bet was better than, say, just betting the coin flip, which is going to be completely random. Now, as it turns out...
the New England called the first timeout.
Yeah, in their second drive. I think they called 2 timeouts just in that same drive.
Right.
So, So the guy who made that bet, he lost.
He lost his $1,500. He should have just went and got a $1,500 four at the craps table.
Yeah, really.
Right?
Maybe just didn't want to pay
would have won
VIG.
$3,000 there.
You only collect the VIG when it wins. So yeah,
right. You would have won more money. You would have won almost $3,000.
So yeah, as far as setting a lot of these prop bets, the books, they think about it, and then maybe this was one that who knows what kind of action they saw.
You can think all you want, but they could have called a timeout on the first play of the game.
Of course, anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Yeah. All right, next up is Fred.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is listener Fred, and I've called in a couple of times, and I love your show. You guys are great. But I have a bone to pick with Dr. Mike. About 3 shows ago, when the year 2019 began, you talked about having a really bad cold, but you having a 6-point fire bet. And you provided 0 details. I mean, come on. We're all craps players here. We enjoy the delectable details. And by contrast, at least on 2 fire bets, you guys gave us all the delicious details about 6-point fire bets on at least 2 other occasions. So come on, Dr. Mike, provide it. Now, just to prove that I can provide information, not just whack you guys, I want to give you an update of what happened about 3 weeks ago when I was in downtown Las Vegas. I was staying at the Fremont Casino, and so I wanted to concentrate my craps play at the Boyd's casinos in downtown. Now, none of the Boyd's casinos have fire bets or all tall, all smalls, but I did walk into Main Street Station, which is also Boyd's Casino, and I bought in for $500. And while I was there, I had the largest hit I ever had at any craps table where I didn't have the fire bet or all tall, small hit. Unlike other Boyd's casinos, Main Street has 20 times odds on craps. I lost a few bucks on a couple of shooters, including myself. Then the shooter to my immediate left went on a heater. I started with a $5 pass line bet and comes with $25 to $50 odds, then graduated to $75 to $100 odds. I also hit a few hard 10s and hard 4s. The guy rolled for at least 40 minutes, and while I didn't count the rolls, the shooter didn't hesitate as soon as he got the dice, so he really pounded the rolls out given the time frame. Oddly, there were pretty much only 3 players on the table until the last 10 minutes of his roll. Maybe it's because we weren't yelling or screaming and just collecting our money after each roll, so we weren't garnering much attention from people that afternoon. The boxman did complain 3 times to the shooter about not hitting the wall with both dice, but the shooter was at the opposite side, and those were long tables, and I didn't see any attempt to influence the dice or even set them on a particular number. He had a bunch of 6s and 8s and 9s on the pass line along with a few 10s. I really like the 20 times odds, so I kept pressing the odds without having to augment my pass line or come bets. When he was done, the hot shooter colored out. I proceeded to lose about $100 on the next 2 shooters, then colored out myself, and netted $1,380, even after tips. And I went to the casino cage. They had to make a phone call, and I had to wait a minute before they got the go-ahead to pay me. So thanks to the roll, I made a nice profit that trip. So my question to you was, why would crap shooters play at Fremont and the California casinos, also Boyd's casinos, walking distance from Main Street Station, where you're only allowed 2 times odds on the lines, when at Main Street it's 20 times odds? It just doesn't make any sense to me, and I wonder if you guys have any thoughts on that. That's Listener Fred signing off.
I think there are a couple of reasons.
I was going to say, I can think of 2 right off my head.
Yeah. One I was thinking of is once you get to 10 times odds and above, it really makes no difference to most players. I think, Mike, you would probably be the exception because you would probably max out your. But for someone like me, I may not even be taking 5 times odds, depending on how much I've got out there. So that's it. When you're talking about 20 times odds, 100 times odds,
some people that means nothing too.
Yeah, right.
The other reason, Mark, is that gamblers are superstitious to a certain extent. So let's say you were there for the weekend, you went to Main Street Station the first night. It wasn't good rolls. You were betting 20 times odds and you got hammered. The next night you're like, I'm not playing at Main Street Station so you're going to go to another Boyd casino if you want to get points at Boyd. And you don't care that it's 2 times odds because you're thinking to yourself, well, last night 20 times odds got me killed.
Yeah, right.
So tonight I'm going to take it easy. I mean, that's really why they'd be there.
Well, I think another reason too is just the environment, the crew. I can tell you right now that at Main Street Station one time we had a bad crew. We had a bad experience with a pit boss, right? It might have been a boxman actually. So why would we want to play there? We'll go somewhere else.
Now, all things being equal, I mean, I'd rather go to a 20 times odds.
Yeah, sure.
Because, if the crew's the same and the rolls are going okay, I'd love that because I'd be taking 20 times odds.
But I think of the times we're downtown, we move around like crazy. Right. And sometimes we end up at Golden Nugget where it's only 3, 4, 5 times odds.
Right. So the guy you're seeing at some casino with 2 times odds, he might want to play at 20 times odds. I mean, he might not have the bankroll.
Yeah.
And so it might not make any difference to him. Yeah. And he might have been over there earlier and lost and just I'm going to try somewhere else.
It could be as simple as that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Now, as far as that fire bet goes.
Yeah, I wasn't with you on the last time you hit the 6 numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark wasn't there. It was just me by myself.
Yep.
And it was nothing spectacular.
It did happen pretty quickly.
It happened very quickly.
That can.
So it wasn't like I won a ton of money. It wasn't like I mean, the 5,000 I got from the fire bet was way more money than I won
just playing
betting,
the regular
just
craps.
playing
Yeah.
regular. And a lot of times it's not that way.
Yeah. You
A
have
lot of
some
times,
really,
they make a bunch of 8s between, while they're trying to make their 5, and you win way more money than you do on the fire bet. But this was quick. And right now I can't remember the details, but I do remember that when he got to the 6th number, he established it and made it like 2 rolls later. So it wasn't a long drawn out thing.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, you might remember this better. I think I laid against that last point.
How am I going to remember it?
Because I
better?
told you.
There.
No,
okay.
Remember, I told you.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
you probably did. Once you're on the 6th
I think
number,
I told you I got on the 6th and I was debating, and then I just laid against it a little bit.
Yeah, right.
Not a lot. It was like, okay, I'm going to win 5,000. I'm not going to lay like 1,000.
Yeah.
I laid like just a few hundred, just in case, just for the fun of it.
Yeah. Plus, you had recently hit a 6-point fire,
Right.
like less than a month before.
Right.
So, how much you're not quite as excited. It's like,
right,
hey, another
right.
one. That's great.
That's probably why I didn't give details. I mean, there wasn't much to say about it.
Yeah,
It wasn't that interesting a roll, other than we made all
made the
6
fire.
numbers. Yeah. So I don't know if I had a story to tell,
Yeah,
but point taken, I should have expounded on it a little bit.
All right.
And next time that happens, I'm going to try and immediately talk into my phone and say, okay, he made a 6 and an 8, and he repeated 2 5s. And
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah,
You're right, the embellished. And then he rolled a 2.
Yeah.
And
Nobody was on it. It took a while to reset the cards. Oh, we should mention they're changing the way they do the cards out at Harris Ring.
Yeah, it's going to be the way that they do it now. They're switching to the way that most other casinos do it. So we'll talk about that once they eventually do it. I think they're waiting on new felts to be printed.
They're waiting on new felts, and I do not like the new way.
Yeah, you talked about on a recent episode how you don't like it as much, but
it's just not as exciting. It's more anticlimactic.
Yeah, well, we'll get used to it, I guess.
Yeah,
pretty quick.
we'll get used to it.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, Matt from LA. Love the show. Just calling to let you know. Early in January, I was in Tahoe playing some craps. Had probably the worst luck of my entire life. Just 7 out. And it just got decimated, and then that kind of put my annual Super Bowl trip on hold because my bankroll had kind of run out. But today is Friday, right before Super Bowl. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Went to the local San Manuel Indian Casino down outside of LA. Man, that place was just slammed. I hated it. Anyway, took $200, sat down at the video roulette station, and man, I just hit number after number after number. Ended up cashing out about up $500. So with $700, I said, shoot, I'm going to do it. So right now I'm on my way to Vegas, driving down the 15, about to hit Baker. Got a room at the downtown Grand, and I'm going to see what I can do with $700. I know it's not a lot. I'm a little bit of a low roller, but hey, I kind of feel like luck is on my side. So if things go well, maybe you'll hear back from me. Either way, I just want to say thanks a lot for the show. Really appreciate what you guys do. Talk to you later. Bye.
It's always nice when a big win will fund future gambling.
Right.
So then you don't have to worry about it. I remember
I never think of big wins as like, oh, I'm going to be up for the year. I just think, well, that means the next trip I've got
a little money to play
I've got
with,
some money to play with. And if I lose it, I'm back to where I started.
Yeah.
And if I lose more than that, it's like, well, I would have lost a lot more had I not had that win.
Years ago, I took my grandparents to Las Vegas. We talked about that on Vegas Confessions recently. But I took my grandparents. I had very little money on me. And I thought, well, I guess I'm just really not going to gamble. I'll probably just, go to eat meals and try to entertain them. So, we're sitting at the Horseshoe eating and getting some prime rib special. And I decided to fill out a Keno ticket, just a 4-spot, and I hit all 4. It's like, okay, good. Now, and I have some money to play. At least I'll be able to play tonight and tomorrow. And, it's a good feeling.
Keno saves the day.
Yep.
It's so sad that Keno's gone away.
Keno saves the day. Another good t-shirt. I hope you're writing these down.
Yeah. Keno saves the day. And then just a picture of some guy. It turns out his name's Keno.
What does that mean? It's nothing to do with gambling. You'd think so since we have a gambling podcast.
I figured it out.
Right.
Keno saves the day, and it's Eric Rosenthal's picture. How about that?
Well, he'll appreciate that because he's Mr. Keno.
Right.
All right, get on that. We need to take that to Gamblepalooza.
Yeah, we need to get those made.
All right, next call.
Mark and Dr. Matt, this is Cody from Alabama, and I was calling a recent article that I just read today, as a matter of fact, came across and had some figures on Nevada Casino's net win in the year 2018, and the source was the Nevada Gaming Control. And I wanted to give you guys these numbers and get your thoughts, if anything in particular stood out as being interesting or maybe a little bit higher, a little bit lower than what you might think. But for blackjack, 1.1 billion, craps, 386.4 million, roulette, 384.1 million, sports gambling, 301 million, and it lists specifically as penny slots. It doesn't give a different denomination of slots, but it specifically says penny slots in the article at 3.3 billion. So again, just want to get you your guys' thoughts on these numbers and just kind of see what you think. All right. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Well, first, let's talk about how these numbers compare to last year. Again, this is for Nevada.
Okay.
So the figures are pretty consistent with 2017.
2018 is just a little bit higher. The economy was a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
People were probably betting more.
The big difference, though, is sports betting was up quite a bit
Right.
in Nevada. And I thought this was especially interesting for the year when sports betting became legal in a lot of different states. Everybody, what's this going to do to Nevada?
Right.
Well, it looks like it had the opposite effect of what a lot of people thought. Right. And this is not all that surprising when you think about it, right? It's just more people are into it. So when they're in Vegas, maybe, they're hey, like, I've been betting sports. Let's go to the sports book, right?
It's the same thing that happens when you see 4 gas stations, one on each corner.
Yeah.
And you drive by and somebody, how can they have 4 gas? I mean, doesn't that hurt their business? No. It actually helps their business.
Mm-hmm.
People know there's gas there. So they go to that corner to get gas.
And
same with restaurants. They're always clumped together because when there's one, there's more, and you actually increase your business. The fact that more people around the country are sports betting in other states probably helped Nevada.
Yeah. Well, that's what the numbers show.
That's what the numbers show, yeah.
Now, as far as just the individual games, one thing that Cody didn't mention, it probably wasn't in the article that he read, was that Baccarat, at least as far as table games, brought in the most money. It's interesting because last year, blackjack actually brought in more than Baccarat. But this year, Baccarat 1.2 billion and blackjack 1.15 billion.
By far the 2 highest table games. So roulette and craps were way low. I mean, they're in the millions versus billions, right?
Yes. The other thing, it looks like roulette is catching up to craps, even though craps made a little bit more than roulette in 2018. It looks like it's moving in, and so they're
easier to play.
Right, you don't have to explain it. And here, the casinos are adding a 000. Well, why not? Right,
Right. People are playing it. You know what interests me is that sports betting is as low as it is.
It really does that surprise you?
It's in the millions, and whereas penny slots and slot machines and baccarat and blackjack are in the billions.
Yeah, are you really surprised though, Mike? Because when people go to Vegas, and they're going to bet on sports, I think I'll put $10 on that game, and that's all they do.
Right.
Whereas that's one bet at the blackjack table.
Right. Well, and that may be indicative also of the fact that when people go to Vegas, they don't think of sports betting unless you're a sports. I mean, they probably get most of their money from a fewer number of people.
Okay.
I bet if you took the average bet of a sports bettor versus the average bet of a blackjack player, the sports bettor's higher. Like how much they would wager in a day.
Maybe. That'd be interesting to see. Obviously, there are people who, at least in the past, before sports betting started spreading, they would go to Vegas.
Specifically to
we have
sports
some
bet.
friends that do that.
Right,
Really
we
don't
have
even play on
friends that-
tables.
no,
They just go to bet
make
sports the whole
bets.
time.
And they make, larger bets than somebody would at a blackjack table. It's just there's more people playing blackjack.
Yeah.
So in the long run, you're going to get more money.
I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily agree, but
I just
there's
thought
no way
there'd be
to.
$1 billion in sports betting. Just in football alone, you'd think, right?
Yeah. One last thing. Let's talk about these penny slots. For all slots, they brought in $7.71 billion, which far and away is more than any other,
right.
Single game. And penny slots accounted for 3.33 billion of that.
Yeah,
and
43%.
Right.
of
So
the total.
depending on what your definition of, almost half it's almost half.
Right.
Is these penny slots. And, the marketing on those penny slots is so smart because we've talked about it. They're not penny slots. Your dad, who would never have played a dollar slot machine,
a $3
in the past.
three coin ins machine. He would have never played a dollar machine with $3 in it at a time. He always yelled at me for that.
Yes.
Meanwhile, he'll go to the penny slot machine and bet $6
on one spin, right? Because it's just pennies.
Because it's a penny, and he's got all those lines.
Yeah. So it keeps creeping up. So, and just on these penny slots, in 2017, it accounted for 42.7% of all slots, and then this year, penny slots, 43.1% of all slots. So
I wonder who was the genius who thought, let's just make them all penny slots.
Yeah.
Because before there were quarters, and there were dollars
and nickels
on the main floor, and nickels, and there were some pennies too, right?
I remember seeing some legitimate penny slots at the plaza
downtown, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then you had to go to the high limit room if you wanted to play $5 or more.
Right.
But there were there were dollars on the floor, but mostly were quarters. Remember in the day they were mostly quarter machines.
Oh yeah.
And now they're all advertised as penny machines, even though you can put $6 in a pool.
Yeah.
Or more on some of them.
Yep. So anyway, some interesting figures. You know who's next?
Melanie?
Yeah, here she is.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Dr. Mike. It's Melanie from Colorado. Loved your last show. Glad you guys are back and feeling better, Dr. Mike. So got a question for you. A week ago, I was at the View Bar, right this time, and the progressive on quarter double bonus was up to about $23.50, $2,350, even higher than the 50 cents. So I'm playing. I got 20 for the Royals in a 3-hour period. At one point, I was up $600, and I played down to up $500, and then after 3 hours, I gave up on chasing the Royals. So my question for you is, would you, Mike and Dr. Mark, kept going? Mm-hmm. I did call this into 500, so if you don't want to use this call, since I know you have a lot of mutual listeners, I get it, but I would love to hear what you guys would do. All right, love the show. Thanks, bye.
Well, you call into more than one show, you get different opinions.
Different
That's
perspectives.
A good way to do it, exactly. So she was at the View Bar. The View Bar is upstairs at the D. And generally, when we've been up there, the pay tables are pretty good. So if she was at a double bonus machine and it was full pay, and a quarter machine, and the jackpot was $2,350 for a Royal Flush, then yeah, that's positive EV, around 102% payback.
Shouldn't have left.
Yeah, no. So she's asking, would we have left? I would not have left.
No.
Would you have left? Why is it taking you so long to answer?
Because the answer is, I would have left.
Yeah, you would have left.
Downstairs.
Exactly. And you're thinking, what, 25 cents? Even if I win this, I'm going to be down for the trip.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying it's the right move, but I probably would have left.
And I'm saying I don't know how long I would have lasted there either, because hitting a Royal, there's no guarantee you're going to hit it.
No, you have a bankroll. You have a certain bankroll.
Yeah, you're right. But it's kind of fun to think, okay, this is a positive EV game. You know, if I hit
sit
this,
here long enough, I should get more out than that.
Yeah. So now, again, I don't know exactly what the pay table is. If it was a lower pay table, it might have not been positive EV, but I'm guessing based on our experience with the upstairs at the D, it probably was a positive EV game. So,
or very close anyway, even if it wasn't.
Yeah. All right, next call.
Hey guys, this is Matt Bob from Indy, and I had a couple of questions for you on craps. The first one is several years ago I was playing at the Las Vegas Club, so it tells you how long ago it was. But I already had chips from another table game, and a guy was in the middle of a roll. So after he had thrown the dice a couple times, I made a place bet on 6 and 8. And this guy just became outraged. He said it was awful that somebody's making a bet in the middle of a roll. I didn't buy in the middle of a roll. I just made a bet. And I never thought that was any kind of breach of etiquette before, but I just wanted to check and see if you'd ever heard that. Second thing is that I was playing craps at the Golden Gate, showing a friend how to play, and I always make bets for the dealers when I roll the dice. And the stick man started explaining to me that they would prefer that when you made a bet, you made it player control. And so he was explaining that to me, that process, but I was kind of distracted playing craps. I probably had a cocktail and talking to my friends, so I didn't really catch what the thinking was and what the process is. So I'd appreciate if you guys could kind of go over that, what player control on a tip for the dealers means. Thanks a lot. Love the show. Take care.
I'll handle the first question.
Yeah, very good. Well, the
You
second
handle the
question.
second.
You handle the second question, the one he just asked.
Yeah, really? I was going to say I got a good answer for the first one.
All right, because I really was going to say, hey, you're Mr. Player Control.
Right, I am.
All right.
Well, I'll do them both.
All right, go
Let me
ahead.
tell you
Yeah,
this.
all right.
Okay, as far as the first question,
Yeah.
etiquette is something that people define differently.
Sure.
So what you might think is appropriate, another guy might think is inappropriate. As far as I'm concerned, if you walk up to a craps table and you've got chips, you can make any bet you want.
I completely agree with you, Mike, because this guy's saying you're making a bet in the middle of my roll. Well, but everybody's making bets in
the middle of the roll.
Right?
If you walk up and buy in and you stop the game so they have to count your money and then count out chips and you obviously slow the game down, that's probably not great.
Well,
I mean, most people consider that bad etiquette.
It's coincidental because we have been talking about this recently. When you go up to a table, Mike, and you're asking for a marker,
Right.
you will often ask for the marker in the middle of somebody's roll only because you know
takes
that
a while.
it takes a while. They've got to do all the paperwork.
Right.
And if you were to wait for a come out roll, it might take so long for them to do the paperwork that then when they're actually counting out the chips, it would be in the middle of the guy's roll.
Right.
So
I usually give my thing, ask for my marker, and then say, give me it to me on the come out. But that lately, and Mark came up with this,
Yeah.
I get to give you credit for that. When I go to the cage and get money, I don't get cash anymore. I get chips.
Yeah.
So when I go to the table, I can just walk right up and start betting.
Yeah, and that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
You're walking up with chips so you can start betting. So no, we don't think that's bad etiquette.
No, you didn't slow the game down at all.
No, not at all. Yep.
So that guy's, he's way out of whack.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
everyone makes a bet.
Everyone is making bets.
And
in the
every
middle of
time I
somebody's
win a
roll.
bet, like a 9 comes up, press that. I made another bet.
That's right. Or if I'll say, "Oh, my 6 just hit. Okay, give me a $25 5."
Right.
Oh, that's a new bet. Did you just make a bet? All my bets are off.
Right. That's what I'm going to do. Every time somebody makes a bet, I'm going to turn all my bets off. I'll get rated like crazy.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Now, as far as the second question goes,
Player control.
player control is when you make a bet for the dealers, but you have control of, do they press it? Do they collect it?
What happens when it wins?
Basically. And they like you to have player control because that way, if you press your bet, now all my bets are player control because if I press my bet, I press theirs. And most dealers would rather have the action. So let's say you made a $5 5 bet for them and it won and it was 7. You know, if you press your bet, you can press theirs to 10 and they'll collect 2. And believe me, most of them want that.
Yes.
Because they're there to gamble just like you.
They're there to gamble. Because if you don't say player control,
They are required by the casino to pay the bet.
in most cases, yes.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
And sometimes take it down. So if you make
yes.
if you make a proposition bet, let's say you put a $1 hard 8 for them and hard 8 comes up, if it's not player control, they have to pay themselves and take it down. So they much rather prefer you have to call player control.
Right.
They cannot assume that.
That's correct. Now, it's funny because really, in the long run, they should not say player control. It'd be more beneficial to them
To take every
just
winning
take it.
bet.
Yes, right.
Yeah. In the long run, they would make more money. However, they like to gamble. They get excited when something hits.
Yep.
So for me, I put $25 hard 8 for me and a $10 hard 8 for them. And it hits, I go to 100 and I usually take them to 50 and drop 50.
Yeah.
So now they've collected a little and they've got a $50 bet and it hits again. They get $450. They're very happy.
Yeah. If we get over to Borgata during Gamblepalooza, I want to see if they've changed their policy. Now, it was years ago that we were there, but you remember they would not let you call player control on the tips. Yeah.
Right. Now, I don't understand that
I don't
at
know.
all.
That was strange.
I don't understand that at all because from a casino standpoint,
Yeah.
they're going to make more money by you pressing because chances are the bet's not going to hit again.
Yeah, right.
And they're going to get all the money.
I'll bet the policy's changed.
I
That might
bet
have been
somebody might have figured that out.
Yeah.
Like, this is not in our favor.
Yeah, we'll see when we're there. All right, let's hear from Bill.
Hi, it's Bill from Toronto with my Las Vegas Super Bowl trip report. I stayed at Planet Hollywood Friday to Monday. Now, I must have been channeling the positive vibes from Mark and Dr. Mike's start to the year. I had success at the craps tables. How much success? Well, think back to the episode 173 discussion on cash reporting requirements. Let's just say that I can now report to your listeners that secondary Canadian customs screening does not have a diamond line. Seemingly all weekend, I had chips on the felt when the dice got hot, did some timely pressing, including one roll when, as the shooter, I pressed my line bet to 75 with max odds, made my point, and collected $525. And on top of that, I also hit some bonus bets. For instance, Sunday morning at the Flamingo, I hit the all tall small with $5 on each. And later on, at a different table as the shooter, I also rolled the small, again with $5 wagered. For repeaters, I typically bet $5 each on the 9 and 10. On Friday, the first session of my trip at Planet Hollywood, both the 9 and 10 repeater bets came in. On Saturday afternoon as the shooter, I hit the 9 and 10 repeater bet 2 or 3 times as well. Table minimums for craps Super Bowl weekend at Planet Hollywood were $15 on Friday afternoon, $25 Saturday afternoon, and a mildly ridiculous $50 at 9 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday. That morning, instead, I found and played at $25 and $15 tables at the Flamingo. After the Super Bowl, unsurprisingly, the minimums were $50 at Planet Hollywood, and I did play at that limit, which was a new experience for me. Friday night saw $15 minimums at the D and Binions. I also found a $15 table at the Link both Friday and Saturday night. Saturday night also, I had tickets to the 8 p.m. Absinthe show, so I was at Caesar's Palace Saturday from 5 to 7:30. And Caesar's Palace was, well, Caesar's Palace. $25 tables jammed up like a $5 game downtown, busy $50 tables, and even a $100 table open. It was a big win to, 1, just find a spot at a $25 craps game, and 2, to find a spot at the bar for a pre-show cocktail. Caesar's was hopping. At the $50 minimum table at Planet Hollywood, they didn't let me bet less than 50 odds. The base dealer, who had initially set up my bets before the stick said, "Hey, it's a $50 game," gave me a knowing look and said, "The Rio, which is owned by the same company, would totally let you do this." After no odds for a few rolls, I eventually took single odds in all my pass line and come bets. At the Link, after a point of 5 or 9 was made, I said to the dealer, "Oops, sorry, I've overbet my odds." I had a $15 line bet with 80 odds. I was expecting them to hand back my extra $20. Instead, they set up the overbet as a place bet and paid it. I thought this was generous of them, although I guess I'm assuming that on a losing wager in this situation, they wouldn't take the odds overbet. For the Caesars properties not having Boxman file, after my big Saturday roll at Planet Hollywood, there was a 5-minute delay as the table had to wait for a supervisor to become available to confirm the amount players were coloring up. For the You Can Totally Trust the Rating System file, after cashing in my chips at the cage following my Sunday session at the Flamingo, I asked the supervisor what my average bet was and how long I played. She said, "Oh, I've already closed you out. Let me check. You're Kenny, right?" In fairness, there was a shift change during my play, but still. For the What to Do with Free Play file, I lost 6 consecutive blackjack hands with my $150 in free play. Next time, I'm taking your advice and using my free play on video poker or slots. On Saturday, my friend, who was a diamond player but somewhat new to craps, hit a repeater bet and didn't realize it didn't stay up. I was playing at a different table. The crew didn't remind him that his repeater bet came down. Of course, the repeater bet hit again, and he thought he was on it. But for the all's well that ends well file, my friend did hit 2 repeater 8s on his last crap session of the trip on Monday morning. Finally, a few times, dealers were tripped up by $15 come bets with 30 odds on the 4 and 10, 40 odds on the 5 and 9, and 50 odds on the 6 and 8. To me, this is bread and butter craps, full double odds, and all bets pay $75. Wasn't a big deal. The underpayments were easily corrected, and the overpayments somehow got overlooked. Anyway, thanks again for the great show, guys. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Talking about repeater bets, and any side bet at the craps table will not stay up. Generally, all tall, small, repeater bets, if they hit, you're going to need to replace them.
You need to replace them, yeah.
And the casino should remind you, certainly to their benefit.
And usually they do say something like, "Do you want that back?"
Yes. Yeah, right.
But if it's busy, they may not.
Sure.
Try this, Bill, on the repeaters next time. Try putting $10 on the 2 and 12.
That's why he was saying 9 and 10, but I know you do that. A lot of people do that because it's, okay, it only has to happen twice for the 2 and 12.
It has to happen twice.
Right? So,
if it happens to hit, you win. Yeah. You know what I was doing? Put $10 on it, okay? If it hits, go to 100. Mm-hmm. Seriously, collect it. Go to 100. If that hits, It's $3,000.
That's right. That's Dr. Mike for you.
Yeah.
And I've got some advice for you too, Bill. Don't make the repeater bet. That's my advice for you.
If you're going to make them anyway, what's 10 extra bucks? 5 extra on the 2, 5 extra on the 12. If it hits, go to 100. You still make a profit.
Yeah, I understand.
And if it hits again, you got a huge profit.
Yeah, I understand.
Now, that doesn't happen that often, but when it does, it sure feels good.
That's sweet. Now, anytime you put too much money down for your odds, casinos treat it differently. There might be some casinos that will return that overbet to you, whether it wins or loses. But in most cases, if the bet wins, they'll do exactly what they did in this case. They'll take whatever was bet too much on the odds and treat it like a place bet.
Right.
But I'll tell you, if you were to have lost that bet,
they collect it all.
They would have taken the whole thing.
I
That's
guarantee
typically
they would have collected it all.
Yeah, because as
And
far
they
as they're
would've just said,
concerned,
well,
it's in play.
We
Yep.
would have paid it if it won.
Yeah.
And that's why they pay it if it wins.
Yes.
Right? Because they're in an advantage. So if they pay if it wins, yeah. But next time he does that, if it loses, we got it.
And the dealers should be checking for it. All the dealers
Right.
should be looking to see overbets like that because they don't want it to come up because,
right. They don't want any controversy. And all it has to do is the dealer sees it's like, oh, you're a little high in your odds.
Yeah, right.
And people usually pull it back.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Glenn has got some clarification on the DraftKings contest that we talked about last episode.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Glenn calling from Sherman Oaks. Just wanted to call with some correction for you regarding the DraftKings contest. Maybe you've heard this from someone else already. But the contest did not run exactly as you described it a week or so ago. The contest ran for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. And you are right, you had $5,000 to bet, and then the other $5,000 went into a pot. But this is how the contest worked. On Saturday, you could use your $5,000 to bet on anything, not just NFL. You could bet on anything on the board. On Sunday, you were required to bet on the NFL, on the 2 games, and that's all you could bet on. So that's how the betting structure worked. The other thing to know relating to the controversy is that those who were present at the warehouse where the contest was set up had access to the immediate results and funding for the last game. So those folks had no problem. The only people who had a problem were those who were using some remote setup through the internet to make their bets. And in that case, there was language printed on the DraftKings rules that mentions that they are not responsible for lag time and wireless and that kind of thing. Of course, this has now gone to litigation, and those who have lost out are challenging I haven't seen what they're challenging, but basically that the written rules were not clear enough. It did not cover all contingencies, whatever it is. But that's more of a complete version of the events and of the contest, which apparently went very well. Thanks again. Enjoy the show.
All right, good. Well, thanks, Glenn. Okay, so
that makes some more sense.
Yeah.
So on the first day, on that Saturday, you could bet anything. You could have taken the San Diego Fleet if they were playing.
If they had been playing, unfortunately, they weren't
Yeah.
during that NFL weekend.
Yeah, that's why I didn't. That's why I didn't join.
That's why you didn't do the contest.
Yeah.
That's smart. It has nothing to do with the fact that you were not in New Jersey at the time or anything
Right.
like that.
No, I would have flown to New Jersey if the Fleet were playing. I mean, geez.
Sure, why not?
I bet against them. It's a sure win.
So we'll see if we hear anything ultimately from the controversy surrounding it. But yeah, other than that, it does sound like it was a pretty good event. So.
There's going to be controversy no matter what.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah. In our world now, there's going to be controversy.
All right, next up is Adam.
Hey guys, this is Adam from Connecticut. I just wanted to call and, a little bit of a humble brag here. I actually got my first hand pay ever. I very rarely play slot machines, but I went up to the casino tonight, it's a Friday night. The tables were all a little rich for my blood. So I decided to throw $100 into a $1 slot machine. It was a 2-point maximum, and I was betting the maximum. And about 15 minutes in, after being a little up, a little down, I hit the jackpot for $5,000.
Nice.
The weird thing was the slot attendant said, "Do you want taxes taken out?" I said no, because I'm assuming that throughout the rest of 2019, I'll probably lose some of it back, and hopefully that'll take care of some of the taxes that I owe on that money. But the $5,000 cash was very nice to be handed. I was tempted to ask for a security escort out. Springfield's not the greatest city, but they're pretty secure, and luckily I can say I got home safe and sound. So just wanted to let you guys know. I did play a little bit of craps after, and my terrible crap streak continues. So hopefully the next time I call in, it'll be for a nice big craps win. I feel like I'm due for one. I know you're not supposed to say I'm due for one, but listen, this streak has got to end at some point. All right, guys. You have a good night. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, generally, if they ask you, hey, do you want us to take taxes out? Just say no. You know, you can deal with your taxes at the end.
Right. And if you're playing enough, you're going to lose. Right. You're probably going to lose.
Yeah. In some cases, you don't have a choice. Like when we won the fire bet for $10,000 a few years back, it had just gotten to that limit. There are laws where they have to take it. And they did have to take it out. There might be exceptions. I remember Tony from Vice Lounge Online a couple years back on his birthday. He was playing a slot with his family. They were all, contributing together, and they hit some big jackpot. And he told the attendant, "Yeah, just take all the taxes out right now."
Right.
Right. So then I've just got a check or cash away. Yeah, there's just right, and then he just distributes it to everybody in the family.
Tony's an attorney, though.
Yeah, that's true.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, I don't know if he's a tax attorney, but yeah, I think he does know what he's doing.
Well, I'm sure he took a tax class. Tony, if you haven't taken a tax class, let us know. We'll correct that on the show. But I'm pretty sure he took a tax class at some point.
But anyway, Adam, congratulations. Yeah, it's nice to hit that, especially when you don't play many slots.
Right. And I hope that at some point Adam actually has a big enough craps win that he has to have security walk him out to his car.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Good. Yeah. I agree. Our next call.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike. Just got back from a trip to New Orleans, and I had some time to play some craps at Harrah's New Orleans. It was all right. Had a pretty good session or two, but the table win that's only really the lowest is $15, which is pretty rough for me. I asked them about that, and they said pretty much never blew up since their only game in town. I do have a funny story, though. I was next to a guy who was playing the don't and being pretty obnoxious, yelling 7 out all the time, cheering whenever anyone 7'd out. Then I managed to hit 7 points in a row and knocked the guy's $500 bankroll out and pretty much added it to mine, making up for me to win for the entire trip. Anyways, just thought I'd call, let you guys know how it was in another place that I've only ever really played in Vegas before. Thanks. Love the show.
Yeah, the limits on a table, whatever the market will allow. It used to be you could find a $5 table at Harrah's, Southern California. You can never. They don't have many. Even the middle of the week, it's $10 is like 10, the lowest that they have.
And if they have two, it'll be 10 and 15 or 10 and 25.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last Saturday they did not even have a 10.
Yeah,
they had
15
two
was the lowest.
15s, a 25, and a 50.
Wow. Yeah.
So, they'll do whatever the market bears, which is what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And the tables were full.
They were full, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. All right, next call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Bogus Bill from Johns Creek, Georgia. I'm new to your podcast, and I've been binge listening to it for a while to get caught up. I'm going to make my second trip. My first trip was Knowledge of Craps. My second trip to Las Vegas next Monday. And I was curious if there's an update on the casinos that you would recommend that I visit. I'm a low roller, but I kind of would like to experience as much of Vegas as I can in the few days that I'll have there, just to kind of see the different types of craps, tables and crews and stuff that are out there. So far, I understand I definitely need to get to the Cromwell. I'm staying at the Flamingo, so the Cromwell is going to be right next to me there, so that shouldn't be a big deal. And the other one is the Downtown Grand, but that was because of the free buy bets on the 4 and the 10 that you guys have mentioned, but I have no idea whether that's still going on. I seriously doubt it. Is there any casino that you would recommend downtown, any others on the Strip that I should absolutely go see and go experience while I'm in Vegas? And also, my other question is, what is your favorite craps game on the phone or on the PC? So if you're waiting for the wife to come out of Yankee Candle at the mall, what are you playing on your phone to scratch your craps itch? I enjoy one from Comma Games called Craps. It's a multiplayer game, and I enjoy seeing other players' styles on there. What I've noticed is there seem to be a lot more Dr. Mikes out there betting the hard ways and all the prop bets, more so than Mark-style craps players out there. I tend to be more of a Mark-style crap player myself. I like to play the pass and play come bets pretty much. I generally stay out of the middle. Anyway, I'll give you a better organized trip report from Las Vegas when I get back. I'm enjoying your podcast very much. Thank you all for doing this, and I will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah, when it's play money, of course there are going to be more Dr. Mikes than Mark. So
Right. Yeah, it's just like a poker, online poker.
Yeah, right.
When you're
If it's
playing for free. I mean, people are staying in with everything and doing stuff they normally wouldn't do. But there are a few people who take it serious. And
they want to see, if I were really at a table,
how would I win?
I'll be honest with you, Bill. I have not found a craps app for my phone that I like. I've got one on there. I don't even remember the name of it. But, when I'm sitting and I'm trying to kill some time, I'll do Sudoku or something. I won't even pull up the craps app very often.
You play craps on your computer at work, but it's a program you wrote.
No, it's not one that I wrote. It's WinCraps that runs on Windows, and you can write programs for it.
Okay.
So that would be what I'd recommend for Windows PCs is WinCraps. And I use that all the time. You can run simulations and try different things, and that's good. But I haven't found anything good for a phone. So, the free buy bets, those are gone from Downtown Grand.
Yeah, long gone.
Yeah, in fact, they even reduced their odds from 10 times to 5 times. So
still good.
For downtown, it's not all that good because there are a lot of 10 times odds downtown.
Right.
But sure, 5 times odds, it's not bad. And we enjoy playing at Downtown Grand.
And, as far as like what to do, you'll probably find downtown more suited to your limits.
For low rolling.
Yep. So that's good. Mm-hmm. And then when you're on the Strip, you're in the perfect spot. Flamingo. Go to Flamingo, go to Cromwell, go to Harrah's, go to Bally's. That side of the street, you'll all find, depending on what days you're there, you might find $5 and $10 tables.
That would be good for your limits. But to kind of answer his question, where does he need to go to see different craps? He already said Cromwell. That's good with the 100 times odds. I can't really think of anything else. It's nice to go over to Caesar's Palace and kind of go to the old casino there and see the pit, but it's certainly not good for low rollers.
Right.
Maybe he could just, go and look at it, but I can't think
also, depending on what your experience with Vegas is.
That's true.
I mean, if you have limited experience with Vegas, go to Bellagio.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't play craps there. It's going to be high, but walk through Bellagio. It's beautiful. Sure. There's a lot to see. And look at the craps tables there. It's pretty interesting.
That's true. He said it's his second trip.
Maybe he's seen some of it.
Yeah, maybe. But definitely check out all the casinos and the hotels and everything. And then you just play craps, like where we said, right? Kind of in the center strip.
You'll find places that'll have $5. If you're there during the week, you definitely will.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yep. All right, last call.
Hello, gentlemen. My name's Thomas. I'm a first-time caller coming from the beautiful state of Washington with a trip report and a question. Washington has 29 tribal casinos, and last night I was at my favorite, which is called Muckleshoot Casino, for some craps. Tables there don't have the fire bet, but do offer the all tall small, as you call it, hot bets and other usual prop bets. I brought in during a roll, and this older gentleman at the far end of the table had the dice. He proceeded to throw 8 4s, 6 of them the hard way, over the next 15 minutes or so. Table was really excited, won a higher roller, bought the 4 for a nickel, and had it up to 500 by the end of the roll. He made a packet. But the interesting part of the story to me was this. He had every number on the all tall small except for 12. And the table was really excited. There were a lot of bettors on that prop bet. But then he got into this argument with the dealer about how much he was supposed to be paid after hitting a point. I remember he had a weird amount on the pass line, like $17 or something at a 5-4-3 table, and he had incorrectly done the math on his odds behind, at least for the payment he thought he was supposed to get. He was wrong, but he stopped shooting and argued for a good 5 or so minutes, which had my end of the table pretty irritated. I really have a pet peeve about people who bring bad karma to the table and just want to pick fights with people. It ruins the experience for everybody else, and it really drags the game out, especially if those bettors are making a bunch of prop bets, which also bog the game down. Anyway, another bettor got pretty nasty as well, and the pit came over, and of course the dealer had paid him correctly. Then he picked up the dice and threw it, immediate 7 out. And it definitely felt like karma, and I think he realized that the rest of the table was pretty unhappy with the way he'd acted towards the crew. So he leaves his chips, shuffles off, and returns about 10 minutes later with this giant pepperoni pizza, which he then proceeded to share with the table and insisted that the crew try as well. I don't know if any of the crew actually took him up on that I saw, but it's the first time I've ever seen someone share food after 7ing out. As for myself, I had decent success considering the table blew hot and cold after that. Cashed in for 200, cashed out for a little over 300. So that leads me to my question. How does a low roller like myself best take advantage of those long rolls, especially if the numbers hitting aren't the inside numbers? I tend to be pretty cautious and only play the 5, 6, 8, and 9 unless a come bet lands on 4 or 10. So I didn't really make a ton of money off the old timer hitting all those 4s. Anyway, thank you, gentlemen. You run an excellent podcast.
You got cut off there at the 3-minute mark. It's such a hard question to answer because you never know. The next roll, 1 out of every 6 times is going to be a 7.
All right, I'll answer it then.
All right, go ahead.
This is what I would suggest.
Okay.
Now, this depends on how long you've been playing. So if you had just walked up the table and this is your first roll, it's a lot easier to do than if you had been there for an hour and a half and you're down $500.
Okay, right.
But that being said, if I'm a low roller, and let's say I have a $5 pass line bet with odds, and I've got $32 inside.
Okay.
As soon as I've broken even, as soon as I've collected all the money I put out on the table, press your bets.
Yeah.
Now,
it's easy enough.
Now, let's say you have a $12 6. If it hits, just go to 18.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to take a full-on press. Go to 18. If it hits again, go to 24. That's the best way to take advantage of a hot roll.
I kind of agree with you, but what he was really asking is, what about those times when I'm not on the numbers that are being rolled? Because he said he goes inside, but now 4s and 10s are coming up and all sorts of crazy things. I think in that case, let me back
in that case, you just have to sit still and take your medicine.
Yeah. Sometimes that's a lot of it because I do the same thing. I'll be like just on the 6 and 8, and there will be rolls that are fantastic, but he's just not rolling 6s and 8s.
Right.
So you make a ton. Then there are other times when that's all that the person is rolling is 6s or 8s.
Right.
One thing I might suggest, and I can't believe I'm saying this, is maybe put a buck out on all the hard ways, right? If one of those hits, then parlay or press or something like that. That might be a way to go.
I just have always thought, and this is not just for low rollers. I do this myself all the time. As soon as I get my money back, I press a little every time, hoping that the roll continues for a while and I make a killing.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, at least I've got my money back for that shooter, and I feel okay about it.
Yeah.
And if I'm ahead for the night, then I might just start pressing immediately. And if it is a big roll, I have a monster roll.
Yeah. And, my advice is more along the lines of, just sit there and enjoy the ride and,
play your Sudoku.
Right. Yes, exactly. And it's kind of a happy ending to that story with the guy bringing pizza back to the table. So
now, Thomas has not played with us. Because our thing is on Friday nights is we get a bunch of candy. Mm-hmm. Speaking of sugar, we're like drug dealers.
Yeah, we're peddlers. Yeah, we're dealers.
We get a bunch of candy, and every time a dealer goes on break, we ask them what they want. And it's not like one candy. We have a huge selection. So this is what your choices are.
Yeah. So you're saying you're making up for your horrible behavior at the table.
Yes.
By giving them candy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My horrible tipping behavior.
Mike is not horrible at the table, just in case we have any new listeners. He's a very good player. Hey, we need to make a correction to something we talked about on the last episode. We were talking about W2Gs when you get them at table games. And I had said that you only get a W2G if the wager pays 300 to 1 or more and the payout is more than $5,000. That was incorrect. I should have said you'll get a W2G at a table game if the wager is at least 300 to 1 and the payout is $600 or more. So quite a difference there.
Yes.
And that kind of explains too why somebody who, say, only has $1 on the fire bet and gets $1,000, they will get a W2G as a result.
Right, which sucks because, it's not like the $1,200 you win.
Right.
Machine.
Now, some of you may be thinking, well, wait, Mark, I listened to the last episode and you did say $600 or more. Well, that's because I went back and actually fixed the last episode. I thought it was a bad enough error that if somebody only listened to that and it was easy enough to fix.
Yeah.
So I went back and
okay,
fixed
now that you've got that all clarified,
Yeah.
as soon as we're done here, I'm going to sit right here until you bring me a big pizza.
Okay. All right. I got that. Anyway, so depending on when and how you listen to the episode, you may have heard 5,000, you may have heard 600, but it's $600 or more. And we want to thank Pie Gow Tiles Jim from New York for pointing it out. Oh, and also thank you, Jim, for the Super Bowl bets. that you made for us.
Yes. But you know what was funny is he made bets for us that we probably would have made ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
And they didn't win.
No, they did not.
they would have been things we win. And getting back to depending on when you listen to the episode, Chana, who is a dealer out at Harris, told me, and I told you this the other day, he said on Monday, oh yeah, I was listening to your episode yesterday, the last episode. And I'm like, well, that came out like a week and a half ago. You waited a week and a half to listen to us? You're not supposed to tell me that. You're supposed to listen Thursday afternoon.
And then you gave him a candy bar.
Yeah, and then you gave him a candy
bar. Yeah,
good. So, Chana, if you're hearing this like 3 weeks later.
Yes. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Mike from Indy. He says, thanks for the great show and content. Also, a donation from Bill. Mark and Dr. Mike, thanks for your fun and informative podcast. Keep up the great work. Cheers. Also, a donation from Rob from Texas, a karma donation for an upcoming trip to Las Vegas with my sons on March 11th. So Good luck there. And finally, a donation from Garrett from Salt Lake City, karma donation for upcoming Vegas trip over President's Day weekend. And that's coming up here.
Yeah, very soon.
Good luck.
That's this weekend.
That's right. And so, speaking of this weekend, too, we want to say good luck to everybody who's going to this Chicagoland meetup. Tim Lawson from The Better Life and Tony and Jason from Vice Lounge Online and a bunch of listeners. They're meeting up in Chicago. It's kind of informal, doesn't really have a name for the event, but they're going this weekend. So good luck to everybody going up there.
I hope they do well.
Yeah. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program that searches through all the raw American TV data. Just go to youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS, or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonthat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review on us. We love getting your feedback. Over to you, Dr. Mike.
Well, I want to dedicate this episode, Mark, to Anita. She's a dealer out at Harris.
Okay.
Who we've known for years. And just today said, oh, you have a podcast? Yes, Anita, we have a podcast. We're supposed to be listening. Anyway, it was funny because Anita was on the table dealing with Nancy, and they look a lot alike. And they were complaining how everyone gets them confused.
Oh, right. And they're at the same table.
They're at the same table. So I kept, mixing their names up on purpose.
Right, deliberately. Yes,
deliberately
good.
all day.
Yeah.
And then there was another, your favorite dealer, Seda. Who was similar in looks. Yeah. And they said, oh, when the three of us were here, it was terrible.
Oh, really?
They always called each other's names all the time. So, Anita, this episode was for you.
All right. Very nice.
Now, Seda and Nancy don't know if I mean Anita or them. So
yeah, that's right. You can't tell the difference.
You can't tell the difference. Yeah. They're all the same. They're dealers.
All right. Oh, and one final thing, too. You've got a Vegas trip coming up here. First weekend in March?
First weekend in March. Friday the 1st, Saturday the 2nd, Sunday the 3rd.
Okay, good. So
we won't be there till late Friday night.
Okay. Well,
I don't know how late, but it'll be late.
All right. We'll talk about that on the next episode then.
Yeah, it'll be right before
you go. So,
yep.
Okay, good. Very good. All right. Anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Mark, that was wonderful. I had no idea you were so talented. The audience is going to love you.